is Newsroom. Hello and welcome from Johannesburg here in South Africa. I'm Eben Jansen. The show, of course, live. It's broadcast from our studios in Auckland Park. We're also streaming live on YouTube right now with our whole show available on our YouTube channel on demand. Today, back by popular demand, we continue our debate on the legalization of marijuana in South Africa. But later, we'll be joined by the Minister of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries, Honourable Senzeni Zokwana, to talk about Arbor Week and what we can expect this week. There are issues with the issuing of smart cards in Polokwane, and we're also dressing up for Casual Day this year. So a lot in store for us a bit later. But first, let's go to Katrine Milan, who has a news update.
Well, hello and welcome to Newsroom. I'm Katrine Malan, and let's take a look at the top stories this morning. High-level talks to try and end the political crisis in Lesotho will continue in Pretoria today. The SADC meeting was called by President Jacob Zuma in his capacity as chair of SADC's organ on politics and defence. The leaders of three Lesotho coalition partners are participating in the discussions, which follow allegations of a coup in Maseru on Saturday. The Lesotho army has reportedly taken control of police headquarters, prompting Prime Minister Tom Thabane to flee to South Africa.
Looking at things in general, there were makings of a coup, but I think it was nipped in the bud and it is not going to take place.
Parliament's Powers and Privileges Committee will meet today to finalise misconduct charges against EFF MPs. The committee was tasked with looking into the behaviour of 25 EFF members after they disrupted the National Assembly. The EFF has meanwhile said it is prepared to give National Assembly Speaker Baleka Mbete until today to respond to its ultimatum that she halt plans to suspend the party's MPs from the National Assembly. Lonmin manager of mining security Henry Blow is expected to continue giving evidence at the Marikana Commission of Inquiry in Centurion today. Blow will shed light on events that took place during the violent strike by Lonmin miners in August 2012. On Friday, he told the commission that the strikers suddenly turned aggressive after they'd been denied talks with management. Then Pakistani police used tear gas to disperse anti-government demonstrators in the capital Islamabad as pressure mounts on Pakistani Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif to step down. Opposition leader Imran Khan called on his supporters to take to the streets across the country after at least 3 people were killed in clashes between protesters and the police in the capital overnight.
Bravo, well done, Nassar. What a brave man you are for what you did with unarmed people. No one can be more of a coward than you. We will get a case registered against you. We will get a case registered against Nawaz Sharif.
Remember, all these top stories are available on our Newsroom Facebook page. You can also follow us on Twitter at SABC Newsroom. Eben, over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Katrine. Now, the legalization of medical marijuana in South Africa, the debate that's hotting up from all angles in this country. Last month, in honour of IFP Member of Parliament Mario Oriani Ambrosini, we hosted a discussion on this very topic. What followed was a passionate debate that not even we expected. We were approached by the concerned youth of Southern Africa who wanted to join us on the show to talk about their obligation to stop the legalization of marijuana in South Africa. We then also invited the other side of the argument, Mr. William Wallace from lobby group Below the Line. The debate had a huge response on social media and spread like wildfire, well, globally. But before we continue with today's discussion, let's just have a look back at this previous debate.
We want to engage with you. We want the same thing. We want to lower youth use. But we do not believe that it is helping the youth by simply arresting them and throwing them in jail. Remember, it is not cannabis that is criminalized. It is the use of cannabis. And we are criminalizing people. When someone comes to you, when a young man comes to you and says, I'm having a problem with dagga, do you send him to jail?
We don't send them to jail.
Then you already concede that you agree that prohibition is not the answer, Mr. Panga.
Because our aim is to help them.
As is ours.
It is you helping them by giving them dagga.
No, by not throwing them in prison. By not throwing them in prison.
This is what I want to tell you. There's so many women in Durban that are crying tears because from these children that are using dagga, they've sold everything, furniture in their houses,
I think you're talking about
beds,
if we can come back to order.
Yes.
I don't think that it's proven fact that dagga makes people aggressive.
It is proven.
It's
Come
actually
to
the
our
opposite.
Center.
It's actually
Come
the opposite.
to my center.
What
it
about
has maybe
alcohol?
helped you.
What are your views on alcohol?
It's the same. Dagga and alcohol is
So
the
you
same.
want dagga banned, alcohol banned?
Both.
What about sugar? It kills more people than dagga.
Sugar is healthier. Take coffee without sugar and you tell me what is the taste.
Well, it was a passionate debate, and that is still available on our digital platform. That's on our YouTube channel on demand. Just put in Dagga Debate, it'll pop up. It's been around the world the last couple of weeks. Very interesting. Now, today in Johannesburg, we have Myrtle Clark, the director of Fields of Green for All, a South African cannabis non-profit company, and Jules Stobbs, the director of social activism at Fields of Green for All. Together, they are known affectionately in the media as the Dagga couple. And in Durban, from Doctors for Life International, we are joined by spokesperson Mr. Johan Claassen in the black jacket on the left, and Dr. Willem Vlok, a specialist in internal medicine on the right. Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us today.
Good morning. Thank you. Good morning.
I'd like to start in Johannesburg and just get some reaction. We saw the debate that we had previously. I'm sure that you've watched it in full on YouTube. If I can start with you, Jules, just give us your views on this reaction.
It's a very passionate debate, isn't it, Eben? It is a polarised debate. It is the most polarised debate on the planet at the moment. And that young lady got a bit hot under the collar because it is a very hot subject.
Let's go to Johan Claassen in Durban. Just tell us quickly, Johan, your views on the previous debate, the face of prohibition, as it's called now.
Well, maybe I can start off with just saying what is Doctors for Life's official position on this debate, and I think that will maybe clarify everything. Doctors for Life is obviously against the legalization of dagga, the plant, or cannabis sativa, the plant as a whole, because people want to smoke it. And the reason is actually quite clear. From a medical point of view, it is extremely harmful. It's a psychoactive drug. It's neurotoxic. In other words, it damages the brain. It causes brain damage in numerous parts of the brain. And one of the most damning evidence recently, there's an explosion of studies showing, and these are published on the internet, that even the public can get hold of them on a website called PubMed, which is the largest biomedical facility in the world. There's an explosion of studies showing that cannabis causes or is related to schizophrenia. And that's one of the reasons why the UK, who downgraded cannabis in 2005, actually upgraded it again in 2008. The reason was because of that factor. And even one of the major newspapers that was driving the whole downgrading of cannabis in UK wrote an open apology to the public for their part that they played in actually downgrading the drug in the start.
Before we carry on, Mr. Claassen, can I ask you then, your opinion as a movement is purely on medicinal grounds. Is that accurate?
Well, it's probably not completely accurate, but that is our main drive. We are a scientific organization, and that is one of the main reasons. In fact, if it had you're probably quite correct, if it had no side effects and it had no harmful effects, we wouldn't have been sitting here.
Okay, let's come up to Johannesburg now. Myrtle, are you going to respond to the views by Mr. Claassen in Durban?
Yes, I certainly am, and I'd just like to clarify that we're from Fields of Green for All, a cannabis legalization non-profit company. I'd just like to ask the good doctor, I have been using cannabis almost daily for the last 30 years. I have achieved all sorts of things in my life, including an honours degree. I run my organisation. I worked as an art director in the movie and TV industry before this. I've never been without a job. We own property. We have this organisation that has tens of thousands of members. And if cannabis was going to cause me brain damage, I really don't think that from a personal point of view that I would be sitting here today. I really don't think I would. And I don't think that our organisation would have members who are academics, who are scientists, who are doctors, and who are also general members of the public who find that their use of cannabis not only enhances their lives, but also adds to their general sense of well-being. And I think that Julian will answer your question about the schizophrenia.
The schizophrenia problem is it's rife in the press at the moment, and the prohibition lobby has been trying to pin the schizophrenia tail on the cannabis donkey for 150 years, and it's still not set in stone. 150 years ago, the British Army had 7 different types of cannabis psychosis, and they tried their hardest to pin schizophrenia on the use of cannabis. In 2009, in the UK, the biggest study ever on schizophrenia, 600,000 people over 9 years, they found that no percentage whatsoever had any form of schizophrenia as a result of using cannabis. And in fact, schizophrenia generally in the UK is dropping, not increasing, which is more than you can say for the use of the cannabis plant.
Dr. Flock, if I can come to you in Durban, what is your response then to what Jules is putting on the table?
Well, I have to admit that you are speaking of anecdotal medication here. You're speaking of one single individual that claims not to have seen the harmful effects of cannabis. And I think one has to be careful for saying that. You know, with any medication that we use, you can only see side effects in about half the patients at most. It would not be applicable to everyone. And for an ideal drug, you look at 20%. Now, just because somebody says that he smoked pot for 30 years and had no side effects, well, first, that needs to be verified. And secondly, I think that's a very dangerous statement to make. Let's
move on, and we talk about the downside. But what about the benefits? What are you saying as the Dagga couple? What are the benefits and why should it be legalized?
Well, we don't actually dwell on the benefits of the plant. The Fields of Green for All has been put together to discuss the harms of prohibition. You can cherry-pick as many studies as you like to find out exactly which answer you want to whichever question. You will find a statistic in a government report that says this thing might give you schizophrenia. But there are plenty of anecdotal evidence that we get as the Dagga couple from schizophrenics themselves who use the plant to bring themselves towards themselves. They use it as a medication.
Let's go to Durban. I want to talk about this a little bit, and I want to talk about the prohibition scenario. Dr. Flock, is Dagga more harmful than sugar, in your opinion, in the world that we live in today?
Well, most definitely it's more harmful than sugar. Of course, we use sugar in moderation, but I still condone its use. The same for cannabis, it's definitely more harmful. And here I will speak from practical experience in clinical practice. I certainly see patients that have issues with psychiatric conditions becoming worse on the medication, on smoked cannabis. And they certainly fill up the hospitals that we have to stabilize them. And I really struggle to believe the statement that people do not get psychotic on smoking cannabis.
If I can go to Johan Claassen and ask him about this analogy, are we not in danger of becoming a nanny state where we tell people what tea they can drink, what they can eat, what they can smoke, who they can associate with? Surely that is starting to infringe on people's basic rights within our Constitution.
I think, first of all, you have to understand what human rights actually in the Constitution means. That doesn't mean that you can just do whatever you like, because if that was true, then a guy could commit murder or anything.
But surely we can't equate smoking Dagga with murder. Surely we can't equate Dagga with murder.
I just told you. I said that's why I just said I know that's an extreme example, but I'm trying to make a point here. The fact is that you cannot just do what you want. The Constitution has to weigh up the harmful effects that it will have on other people. And quite frankly, with Dagga, it's very clear, and science shows it, regardless of what the small lobbying groups and pro-Dagga groups are trying to convince the people of. But with you calling it a nanny state, remember the government has that responsibility to keep the citizens safe. And they're doing it on many grounds and many different fields with policies. This is just one of them, but take laws in consideration like traffic laws. You've got a speed limit. You can't just say, well, people are not adhering to the speed limit and therefore we've got to maybe just abolish it.
But
Same
Mr.
with
Claassen,
stop streets because people are going to break it whenever they want to. Sorry, I'm not finished yet. And another good example is seat belts. The government has weighed up the potential harm, and they've looked at the evidence that wearing a seat belt is safer, and therefore they actually force people to wear that, and the same with helmets.
But prohibition is much more dangerous. You're putting children, 13, 14, 15-year-olds, in the hands of drug dealers, people who are out there who are selling drugs and who can then introduce them to harder drugs. Surely that is much more dangerous.
No, look, I think you are not quite realistic if you think legalizing it is going to make the situation better. In Colorado, where they've recently legalized the drug Dacha, they have found that there was a huge increase in emergency admissions in hospital, not from older people, but from children. And the reason was that many of them were getting it from their parents, because the parent is maybe doped on a trip, doesn't think clearly, and the children get hold of their drugs. And it's not just with cannabis, you find that with many of the other drugs as well. So I think it's quite a ridiculous thing to think that we're going to help the children by legalizing it, making it more freely available.
Surely it is much easier to control. But Mr. Claassen, I'd like to come to Johannesburg and get the Dacha couple to respond to this. We're talking about international benchmarking. You're talking about children in hospital, more children in hospital. What are your views on that?
When we talk about legalization, we're talking about legalized regulation. This is not a free-for-all. This doesn't mean everybody is allowed or should or is condoned to smoke or use this plant. We're talking about a legalized, regulated system, much the same as, say, alcohol and tobacco. We don't like to make these distinctions, but if alcohol and tobacco, known killers in society, are condoned in society, and cannabis is yet to kill somebody on its own, then why don't we tax and regulate it the same as alcohol? Because we do that very successfully in society. As Mr. Wallace said in your discussion last week, it was easier for him as a teenager to get a bag of scaife at a bus stop than it was to get a bottle of brandy in a bottle store.
Milton.
Yes. I'd just like to add that and emphasize the point that Julian has just made, that nobody has ever died from cannabis anywhere in the world. No death certificate has ever been signed with the reason for death being given as cannabis. And I also think, just to relate to Dr. Claassen's comment, is that I don't think anybody has ever been put in jail for not wearing a seatbelt. And we have to get back to the point here. Our inbox is full every single day with people whose lives have been harmed by the prohibition of this plant. It is my right to put into my body whatever I choose to do. Even if you had to hypothetically saying that cannabis gave you schizophrenia or cannabis gave you lung cancer, it is my right to take that chance. It is much more dangerous to go skydiving, but it is legal. It is much more dangerous to get into a 16-seater taxi in the morning, but it is legal.
Final arguments coming up. If I can get final remarks from both you gentlemen in Durban quickly. Let's start with Dr. Vlok.
Okay.
Well, I definitely have to say something about nobody has died from cannabis. You must remember, of this whole panel, it's me filling in the death certificates. Now, we had a similar discussion about this when it came to HIV. Also, nobody died of HIV 10 years ago, but once we started to document this and put it on paper, then the statistics showed differently. Now, we are not going to do that for cannabis on the moment because of the history that the patient is not forthcoming. So therefore, I think it's a very dangerous statement to make again, to say that nobody has died from cannabis. And it also depends on how you count. If you're also simply counting somebody that smokes and keel over and die, versus somebody that's under the influence and kill other people, versus somebody that dies in an accident, I think that still needs to be clarified.
Mr. Claassen, if you can give us your final remarks in 30 seconds.
Thank you. Maybe just on the point that they made about the human right. Remember, there has been a court case in 2002 where the Rastafarian law student wanted it to be legalized as well. And Doctors for Life got involved with that court case in 2002. And the Constitutional Court decided that it should remain illegal. So this decision actually has been made based on the Constitution. And the facts, the overwhelming facts of the medical or the harmfulness of this drug was what they had to take into account. Secondly,
30
I
seconds,
can maybe
sir.
just say again that this is a hallucinogen and people get addictive to drugs. And quite frankly, if they say that it's just a weekend drug and they're just their own business, well, they are bringing a trade of dagga to their corner, to their street, and that's where other children can get hold of it as well.
Thank you very much, Mr. Claassen. Thank you for joining us. We've run out of time, unfortunately.
Okay.
That's Doctors for Life coming to you from our Durban studios. And then final remarks I'd like to give to the dagga couple here in Johannesburg. If I can start with you, Myrtle, just to give us final remarks on what you've just heard.
Yes, final remarks on the case of Gareth Prince in the Constitutional Court in 2002. The reason why it wasn't successful is that Mr. Prince's arguments were not enforceable because he was appealing for the reform of cannabis laws for the Rastafarian community. You can't just appeal for one sector of the community. This has to be for all South Africans, and that is why Fields of Green for All is called for all, because it is for all South Africans, whether it's for medicinal, industrial or recreational use.
It goes round in circles, Eben. It's gone round in circles for 50 years, and it will continue to go round in circles with the same objections, the same positive statements, the same negative statements. Yeah. The bottom line is, if you look at the harms of these substances in society and you make a table of what harms what, if we are making punitive decisions on people's liberties dependent on the harm these substances do, then people should be going to jail for their tobacco and their alcohol use. Absolutely. Because the cannabis plant is number 8 or 9 on the scale of harms worldwide.
Well, that's very interesting. It's a debate we're going to continue. Thank you very much for joining us today. Of course, the directors of Fields of Green for All, Myrtle Clark and Julian Stubbs, who's the director of social activism. It's a debate that we took out into the street. Yeah, we at Newsroom wanted to hear from some of you what you thought about this very debate of legalizing marijuana in South Africa. Here is what the real young people of South Africa had to say.
I think it's much better when it's legalized than having it to be done like backdoors and stuff. And it's not that dangerous compared to other drugs and stuff.
Weed should not be legalized because now you get most people take advantage of the fact that they smoke weed and weed is going to make them feel better. But in fact, the young people out here, they take that for advantage.
I think weed should be legalized because for me it doesn't do anything bad to you.
I don't think it should be legalized because first of all it corrupts the kids. They end up being slow mentally. Some of them end up stealing money just to get weed.
I think weed should be legalized because I hear that it helps with cancer.
Views of the young people that we managed to stop on the street. We'll continue this debate for pretty much the rest of the year until it goes to Parliament, really. The discussion is very much on the table. Let's take a look what you've been saying on this issue this morning. LM Shongwe says at SABC Newsroom, at dagga couple and Doctors for Life, dagga legal or illegal, we go and burn it, is what he says. The dagga party into the debate. DUSA currently has 7,266 members and is experiencing positive growth daily. That's from the dagga party. Interesting indeed. Damon Adams says, man-made synthetic cannabinoids are toxic. Stop listening to humans. Start listening to nature, says Damon Adams. Well, those are just some of the views that we got on this passionate debate. Give us your views at SABC Newsroom. We love We love to hear what you think. Let's take a look now at the front pages from around the world, because the world moves on and the news day continues. The International New York Times is looking at the situation in Iraq, where Iraqi security forces have broken a 6-week siege imposed by the Islamic State extremist group on the northern Shiite Turkmen town of Amirli. Then in Nigeria, the Vanguard there is reporting that there's the Vanguard. 39 foreigners have been arrested and are being investigated for the deadly Ebola virus. This is part of a move by authorities in the country to contain the deadly virus. And if we go down under, in Australia, you will see that their involvement in the Middle East conflict is deepening, with RAAF transport aircraft set to land in Kurdish-occupied areas of Iraq. Very interesting developments there from our Australian friends indeed. Now, we'll be back with more Newsroom after a short break.
Go on. Go explore. Go with the waves. Lead the brave. Go bold. Go strong. Drive. Dare. Go everywhere. To oceans where no one's gone.
What is wrong with African players? Why are they not winning?
Our officials, they don't look at the bigger picture of players being happy before they go to the pitch. Because mind game is very important.
Seek ye first the goals. I am playing the tactical strategy on the field of play, and all other things shall be added onto you. Don't put money before.
African coaches, did they do well?
I think so far they are doing well.
I do not agree. Sometimes local is lekker is dangerous, because I'm telling you, he who cut the road does not know that his back is zigzag.
Ghana proved to be a damp squib.
You cannot go to war with chickens. You go to war with your best commanders.
What will it take for Africa to make it at international level?
Bring professional coaches from anywhere, whether from Mars, Moon, Jupiter, to come and coach and get us the results. That's what we want. You can't be a coach simply because you play football. And Anam, do you have to be a drunkard in order to own a bottle store? No.
Watch Question Time with me, Mpho Tsedu, Monday to Thursday at 5:30 p.m. on the SABC News Channel.
SABC, sharing 20 years of inspiration.
Welcome back. You're still with Newsroom on SABC News. The Department of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries celebrates Arbor Week this week and calls on all South Africans to plant indigenous trees as a practical and symbolic gesture of sustainable environmental management. To talk to us a bit more about exactly what we can expect during Arbor Week, well, we are fortunate this morning to be joined by the Honourable Minister of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries, Mr. Senzeni Zokwana. Very good morning, Mr. Minister.
Good morning, Eben.
Thank you very much for joining us. Mr. Minister, what does South Africa need to see happen in order for the country to really start seeing a real greening of our communities?
We believe that we have to make sure that as the department we champion the greening process, to make sure that within these 7 days from here until the 7th, today, we plant 1 million trees, because we believe that Arbor Week can't be a one-day issue. We believe that among the trees we planted is also fruit trees, so that through that we can dent the issue of poverty and having no access to food. But also trees assist in terms of mitigating the impact of carbon dioxide and assist and beautify our cities.
Why don't we have this culture of tree planting and managing nature a little bit better here in South Africa? And tell us the plan to change this. How is it going to be changed?
We believe that we will change it coming from now, because we have got partners like Total South Africa. We want to make sure that communities are taught, and we run these programs to make sure that planting trees is seen to be one form by which we can make our country be beautiful. The kind of trees that will be indigenous, the kind of trees that will make our areas, especially the rural areas, also to benefit. And to do that, we win to win some of the stakeholders in those areas so that trees are not seen as a source of making fire. Therefore, we need to make sure, therefore, that we go green, even in terms of energy. People have got access to all sorts of energy sources. They don't ban trees. Trees are there to make sure that they make our country beautiful. They become a shade when it is hot. And they do a number of things.
Tell us about the long-term benefits, other than this sort of economically, that you see or that you would want to see from this integrated approach to planting.
Because we believe that planting the trees must only end into communities. We need to make sure that we promote our forests so that people can be able, because forest industry employs people. It also changes the lives of communities. And we believe, therefore, that as a country, we'll be hosting, by the way, the 2015 World Congress in Forestry. And it is the first time in Africa it is held. We need to change the debate and make sure that Africa is recognized for the role it can play. And the debate on greening to take another stage.
Sustainability is now one of the buzzwords always that they use whenever you have this kind of discussion. How do we ensure then sustainable living for everybody in this process?
It is what I have said, that through forestry you can be able to create employment. But also by planting fruit trees, you're able to create some form of living for people where they can sell those fruits and also have a living based on that.
Finally, sir, it's a week of festivities that you're planning. I'm sure you'll be traveling around the country. Tell us what you yourself and the department will be doing during this Arbor Week.
Today, we're launching the event. As we live here, my deputy and others are already at Mafolo City. The aim is to make sure that we become exemplary. And we're saying that with green overalls, we want to make the country green and create a better living condition for our people.
A very nice green overall you are wearing today, Mr. Minister. Thank you very much for joining us and telling us what's happening during Arbor Week and how we need to sustain ourselves by planting. Thank you once again. That's the Minister of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries, Mr. Senzeni Zokwana, joining us live in studio here today. Let's now take a quick look at what's on social media right now. Of course, everybody has their word to say. Marupeng Rodney says, Spring Day. Yes, it's Spring Day today. That's why we're planting, everybody. Go out and plant a tree. Keep it green. Today, Sticky Fudge says, it's officially spring. We wish you all a very happy, feel-good spring day. That's what the minister's message is also telling us. Let's make it sustainable. Monique Ponto says, breathtaking first day of spring in the mother city. Happy Monday all. Yes, the sun finally shone in Cape Town over the weekend. Megan Duplessis said, as we said in 2010, feel it. It is here. Spring day. Good on you, Megan. Nice one. Yes, it is spring day. It's spring day on our Facebook page as well. Let's go to the Newsroom Facebook page and have a look at what's on there today. You will see there that Lonman Manager of Mining Security, Henry Blow, is expected to continue giving evidence at the Marikana Commission of Inquiry that happens in Centurion. You'll also see there that the DA says ANC councillors in the Oudtshoorn municipality in the Little Karoo should be held personally responsible for wasting taxpayers' money in attempts to cling to power. That's an interesting one. Would be a first time. And then high-level talks will continue in Pretoria today to try and end the political crisis in Lesotho. You can find all of those stories and more, of course, on our Newsroom Facebook page. Now, this weekend, the Minister of Home Affairs, Honourable Malisi Gigaba, tied the knot with his long-time girlfriend, Nomatshule Ngoma. Gigaba said I do to Ngoma in front of South Africa's creme de la creme on Saturday. Cabinet ministers, including Jeff Hadebe, Nathi Mthethwa, Susan Chabangu, Naledi Pandor, Aaron Matsoleri, and the ANC's Zizi Kodwa and his wife Zama were among the invited guests. The minister also celebrated his 43rd birthday on Saturday. And what a fantastic occasion it was. On that happy note, you're watching Newsroom on SABC News. We'll be back after a short break.
Go on. Go explore. Go with the waves. Lead the brave. Go bold. Go strong. Drive. Dare. Go everywhere. To oceans where no one's gone.
Well, hello and welcome back. You're with Newsroom. Let's take a look at the top stories this morning. High-level talks to try and end the political crisis in Lesotho will continue in Pretoria today. The SADC meeting was called by President Jacob Zuma in his capacity as chair of SADC's organ on politics and defence. The leaders of the three Lesotho coalition partners are participating in the discussions, which follows allegations of a coup in Nasiru on Saturday. The Lesotho army has reportedly taken control of police headquarters, prompting Prime Minister Tom Tabane to flee to South Africa. Parliament's Powers and Privileges Committee will meet today to finalise misconduct charges against EFF MPs. The committee was tasked with looking into the behaviour of 25 EFF members after they disrupted the National Assembly. The EFF has meanwhile said it is prepared to give National Assembly Speaker Baleka Mbete until today to respond to its ultimatum that she holds plans to suspend the party's MPs from the National Assembly. Then international headlines this morning. Pakistani police used tear gas to disperse anti-government demonstrators in the capital Islamabad as pressures mount on Pakistani Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif to step down. Opposition leader Imran Khan called on his supporters to take to the streets across the country after at least 3 people were killed in clashes between protesters and police in the capital overnight. Remember, all these top stories are available on our Newsroom Facebook page. You can also follow us on Twitter at SABC Newsroom. Eben, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Katrine. Now, the Limpopo province is experiencing problems with the rollout and issuing of new smart identity document cards. Thousands of new applicants, especially pensioners all over the province, have been forced to flock to the main office in Polokwane due to limited number of Home Affairs officers responsible for the rollout of smart cards or smart identity cards. Departmental officials have also told applicants that printing machines are not available at these local offices. Applicants are complaining that the process is moving slowly and have been stacked in long queues, they say. Michael Moringa went to one of these offices in Polokwane to have first-hand experience of the situation. He joins us now live from our studio in Polokwane. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Eben, and to our viewers at home.
Michael, you've seen it firsthand. Just tell us what you see about the problems experienced with the new smart cards.
Yes, indeed, Evan, it is a problem. We were there for 2 days last week to check on the pensioners who are queuing to get the smart ID at the local Polokwane office. I can say that there were a lot of them, a lot of pensioners who were queuing. They come as early as 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning so that they can be the first on the queue. But unfortunately, the department can only assist up to 150 to 170 pensioners a day. So most of them are turned away and are told to come back the following day. Remember, they are pensioners. They don't have enough funds for transport. Some are taking buses, traveling more than 50 kilometers to make it to Polokwane on time. We asked the Department of Record as to why are all these pensioners coming to this one point. And we're told that the local offices are not equipped. They don't have enough machines. They don't have the adequate machines to can issue these smart IDs. So it's a problem as it is, because remember, Eben, we are talking about pensioners. Some of them are on chronic medication. Some of them cannot even stand on the queue for 30 minutes. You'll find them sitting down, trying to eat, getting their medication. It's a very big problem.
Michael, there are 6 Home Affairs district offices in Limpopo. Why are the other offices unable to help these people then? Do you know?
Yes, we spoke to them off record because they have been running around. They don't want to talk to us on record. What they indicated is that since this is a national project, they were only given few offices to that are able to issue these smart IDs. So in a way, the district offices are forced to get all the people from all the villages, townships and suburbs to converge in one area to try and get these smart IDs. So the local offices are not doing anything. They can't help pensioners in that regard. That's why I'm saying it's a problem. They are helpless. They don't have resources, even though it's a pilot project from the national office.
And have you had any response from the national office so far?
Not so far, because we were hoping to get this from the provincial office, but unfortunately they were giving us a run around. They are not willing to respond. They are referring us back to the national office, citing that this is a national competency. They'll have to deal with the matter because they are the ones responsible for distributing all the resources so that they can be able to help pensioners in all the offices and all the levels or spheres of government.
People, especially old people, have to travel quite long distances to get to these offices at great difficulty. What's the response or the reaction from these people, and then also the reaction from the wider community? Have you had any?
Yes. As soon as we arrived at the offices, they noticed that we are from the SABC. They came to complain to us to say some of them were coming there for the 3rd, 4th time. They were turned away because they come as far as 50 kilometers. They don't make it to the queue on time, so they are turned away all the time. Some were complaining about the ablution facilities. There are not enough toilets. They must go to the nearest filling stations to pay at least money in order to use the toilets. They are queuing. There are no even medical assistance for in case they get sick, because if you look at their age, they are vulnerable. Some can't stand properly. They have to bring their food with them so that they can at least take their medications. They are worried indeed.
Michael, thank you for joining us and bringing this story to our attention. Michael Moringa will keep us updated how that story develops. Of course, the story is Limpopo Province is experiencing problems with the rollout and issuing of new smart identity document cards. Now, we're going to end today with Casual Day, a new twist on Casual Day this year with Anine Dormel.
That's right, Eben. This year on Casual Day, South Africans will be asked to dress up, not down. To celebrate the day's 20th birthday on the 5th of September, the country will go posh casual for persons with disabilities. Last year, the successful fundraising project raised a staggering 24.8 million rand, and this year you can help raise more by buying your Casual Day sticker before Friday. But joining us now to talk a bit more about the cause is Casual Day Ambassador Terry Ann Adams. Terry, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Annie.
Terry, I would just like to ask you, how did you get involved with Casual Day and why are you passionate about the cause?
An old friend of mine, Simon Munda, he got me at an albinism conference, and that's where we met. And as it came around to July and Casual Day was gathering the ambassadors, he called me up and introduced me to the project leader, Celeste Vanassa, and they told me all about the project for this year. I fell in love. I was deeply moved by it, and I wanted to get involved because as a person with a disability, and a disability that is so often misunderstood, I felt that it is now time for us to raise awareness and have our stories heard.
Yes. You've spoken a lot about albinism, and why do you think it is misunderstood by South Africans?
South Africans do not see albinism as a disability because they think that we as persons living with albinism are capable of doing everything that an able-bodied person can do. Unfortunately, there is a social stigma that disables us. There is a sight disability that also disables us, and this is what makes us vulnerable.
All right. And do you really think South Africa is doing enough for people with disabilities?
South Africa has done a lot, and the South African public has also done a lot by buying their stickers. But I do think that it is time we do more. It's time we get more hands-on.
And Terry Ann, tell me, for those who don't know, exactly all the funds that are raised on this day, where do they go to exactly, to what organizations? Where do we see the money go?
Casual Day is a flagship project of the National Council for Persons with Physical Disabilities, and therefore there are 12 national beneficiaries across the entire disability sector. It includes Down syndrome, autism, Alzheimer's, among others. And then there are 500 community-based organizations who also benefit from Casual Day.
All right. And let's talk about this year's theme, dressing up. What exactly is it about?
This year's theme, bring out the bling. So we want everybody to bring out the diva within them. I even got a new weave for Casual Day because we need to bring out the bling. So we want you to dress up as a diva, to wear your tiaras, wear your sequins. If you wanted to look like a golden girl, Friday is your day.
But this still means that you're going to be wearing a jean, you're going to be wearing your tackies and just the blingy accessories with that?
It's entirely up to you. A person like me who's very out there, I want to wear a sequin dress with my Casual Day sticker, my Casual Day sticker and my Casual Day T-shirt. So you can wear your jeans with like blingy shoes, or you can wear your jeans with a little tiara. It is up to you.
Yeah, but there are also certain colors to wear this year.
This year our colour is razzle blue, and as you can see, I've got a razzle blue little cardigan on. So this is a little bit of an example.
All right. What is the message you want to give to South Africans regarding Casual Day, Terry Ann?
Casual Day is not just about buying your 10 Rand sticker. Casual Day is about bringing out your support, your solidarity for persons with disability. It is about forming a community where we can go to and where we can feel safe.
And how exactly do you think this is going to be done?
It is by South Africans showing us that they're there for us. And we're not an us and a them. We're all a community together.
And Terry Ann, can you just give us more details around where we can buy stickers, exactly the stores?
Casual Day stickers can be bought at your Edcon stores, including Game and Dion Wired. If you are not familiar with Edcon stores, it is your Edgars, your Legit, your Jet. You can also get them at ShopRite and Checkers.
Can we only buy up until Friday, or can we still buy on Friday?
There is a link on our website where you can donate on the website as well.
Okay, please just quickly give us your website details.
It is www.casualday.co.za.
Great. Well, there you have it, Eben. We better be dressing up Friday on Casual Day.
I'm always dressed up. What must I wear? I want to dress down. I want to wear tackies and jeans. Can I wear tackies and jeans and maybe a tiara? I think I'll wear the tiara. That's a nice tip. Before we go, let's take a final look at what you're talking about on social media today. Of course, the Lesotho coup is simply like oil trying to float above the water in a teacup. Oh, that is very harsh. Arbor says we pray for stability and peace in #LesoLesotho. Tanya at Al Jazeera at Tanya Page says, still reeling from the most bizarre news conference I've ever attended by the Lesotho Army. Straight stories hard to come by in Lesotho. That is Tanya, who is reporting for Al Jazeera, and she's in Lesotho, in Masera at the moment. Linda says, the plot thickens in Lesotho. #Lesotho coup. Well, some say there's not a coup. What we can tell, there we have a picture, live picture. Can you roll it up? Can we scroll it? That's a picture coming out of Lesotho. Where is that from? No, it's not. Okay, they tell me through the window that it is not from Lesotho. It was just a random picture that was flicked up. That happens sometimes. We're doing live TV and we try and bring you the very latest. We try and give you a little insight, a little view into what's going on. Of course, I can tell you about the Lesotho story is we'll continue our coverage on it on our very next show. Top of the hour, we'll have an update. Of course, the President will be hosting a summit here in South Africa to discuss the latest developments and see a way forward. So you can watch Elvis and the team from top of the hour at 10 o'clock around about. They'll give you another update as to what is happening in Lesotho. We're very interested, of course, what is happening in that country. It is our direct neighbour, and we are almost directly affected. That's where we wrap it today. Thank you for watching. Newsroom is broadcast live from our studios in Auckland Park, Johannesburg, every weekday morning between 9 and 10 a.m. The show repeats at 2 in the afternoon with a total rebroadcast at 5 a.m. the following day. We also stream live on YouTube at that time with our whole show available on demand on our YouTube channel. This is SABC News. You've been watching Newsroom. We love it in the morning.